Is your cold making it hard for you to get to sleep and leading to a bad morning? Switch to Mucinex Night Shift for fast, powerful nighttime multi-symptom cold and flu relief. Mucinex Night Shift fights your worst nighttime symptoms to help you get to sleep and wake up ready to go. Mucinex Night Shift. It's comeback season. Use as directed.
Feel your max with Brooks Running and the all-new Ghost Max 2. They're the shoes you deserve, designed to streamline your stride and help protect your body. Treat yourself to feel-good landings on an ultra-high stack of super comfy nitrogen-infused cushion that takes the edge off every step, every day. The Brooks Ghost Max 2. You know, technically, they're a form of self-care. Brooks, let's run there. Head to brooksrunning.com to learn more.
Audible lets you enjoy all of your audio entertainment in one single app. You'll always be able to find the best of what you love or something new to discover. Audible offers an incredible selection of audiobooks across every genre, from your bestsellers to new releases to celebrity memoirs. My favorite, as you probably know, are the true crime titles that they have available on Audible. The Audible app makes it easy to listen anytime, anywhere. You can listen while traveling, working out, walking, doing chores, you decide. Now, new members can try Audible for free for 30 days by using our link. So all you have to do to sign up and get a free 30 days is visit audibletrial.com/atrialbypodcast. Ready, Freddie?
I'm ready.
All right. Hello, everybody. I am Kelsey.
And I'm Emily.
And today, I am going to tell you about the disappearance of 19-year-old Brandon Swanson. And I am going to tell it to Emily for the second time because the first time we recorded the entire episode and then I realized I had Emily's microphone turned off. So it's just me talking to the air.
It was a sad, sad day.
However, to give you a little summary of the case today, so on May 14th, 2008, Brandon drove his car into a ditch, but by his own account, was not injured in this accident. He then called his parents for help, but was unable to describe exactly where he was. He had been on the phone with them for over 45 minutes when he yelled, "Oh shit." Then the line went silent, and despite the fact that the car was found, Brandon was never seen again. And to this day, no one knows what happened to him. So, was he the victim of foul play? Did he decide to walk away from his life? Or did a series of accidents not only take Brandon's life, but also hide his body away forever?
This is a Trial by podcast, so we'll let you be the judge.
Boom, boom, boom. Hello, everybody. Okay, so
Hey, hi,
like
how
I
are
said
ya?
in the intro, this is the second time me and Emily are recording this episode. And I guess I should really say this is the second time I'm recording this episode because I turned Emily's mic off last time on accident. And so she was not being recorded. So we're doing it again.
We just had a nice little, draft session. First one ever.
Yeah, so this one is going to be immaculate.
Oh.
Absolute perfection.
Yeah. Who says hold on to your butts? Is that morbid?
Ash from Morbid,
I feel
my
like
girl.
we gotta come up with a different one.
Yeah. I feel like it's going to be really... My mind
buckle
was
up is the best I can give you.
Buckle up. Buckle up. So, quick little biz nasty. So, first of all, we've got some exciting stuff that happened. We hit 50,000 followers on TikTok, which is absolutely incredible. We are so excited. However, we are only at 400 followers on Instagram. And while I'm always grateful for the good stuff, I'm like, I want everybody to follow us on Instagram, please.
Well, I'm only at 500 followers, so that's not bad.
I know, but I want 1 million Instagram followers, Emily.
Yeah, that's true. Dude, we should start posting your TikToks on Instagram as reels.
I know, but then people from high school will see it, and that's so embarrassing. But now it's less embarrassing.
Your TikToks. You're definitely on their For You page for
I do get random.
Sure.
I did get a random comment from a girl that we went to high school with that was like, "Oh my God, Kelsey!" I was so confused. This person looked familiar, and then I was like, "Oh, that's Kelsey." I was like, "What's up, girl?" But yeah, so if everyone can follow us on Instagram at A Trial by Podcast, I would love that. Thank you so much.
Put a please and thank you.
I know right now, like we only post a couple times a week. I'm trying to figure out like what type of content to post there because I don't want to post the same stuff I'm posting on TikTok because then it's like, why would you follow both? You don't want to see the same videos every single day. Maybe eventually I will. I don't know for sure. But I don't know. What do you guys want to see? Like true crime news on there? Just like random stuff of me and Emily? Like I've been, obviously I post stuff about the episodes and actually there will be a lot of like images to go with today's episode. But yeah, like follow us on Instagram and let us know what kind of stuff you want to see. You can comment if you're listening on Spotify or you can let us know on Instagram. With that being said, one more quick thing. If you would be so kind, if you guys love the podcast that we work so hard on, if you can give us a 5-star rating wherever you are listening, that would be absolutely amazeballs because that's what everyone can see. Yeah. So the more ratings we have, the more listeners we get. And then the more content we want to make for you guys.
More.
And I think that's all the biz nasty I got. So for all of you guys screaming at us to get started, we are doing it now.
Sorry for the sidetrack.
So
we're back.
If you guys are like deep true crime addicts, you know this case. But for those of you who don't, buckle up because this is one of those ones that will drive you absolutely insane trying to figure it out. So
I'm going to act like I've never heard this story before in my life.
Okay, let's see if Emily is a good actress or not. So by all accounts, Brandon Swanson was a very smart kid. He did make some mistakes in his teen years, which included a DUI at 17 years old, but he was overall a good kid and had a lot going for him. He had graduated from Marshall High School in southwestern Minnesota in 2007 and went on to study wind energy at Minnesota West Community College for a year. Now, the college is in a town called Canby, which is just over 30 miles from Brandon's hometown of Marshall if you take the quickest route. Now, if you can't repeat that sentence I just said back to you in your own head, I'm going to repeat it one more time, and I need you to remember it because there is a lot of talk about towns and directions and roads and stuff in this story. And if you don't pay attention from the beginning, you're going to be lost. So I'm just warning you now. And
get
me
your
and Emily are
map
also
going.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a visual map. I'll tell you about it in just a minute here. But I also want to warn everybody, me and Emily are like bad with directions, so I'm doing my best. So that sentence again was the college that he went to was in a town called Canby, which is just over 30 miles from Brandon's hometown of Marshall if you take the quickest route. So Brandon is from Marshall, college in Canby. Okay, we got alliteration there so you can remember. College Canby. So because it was just over 30 miles from his hometown, this allowed Brandon to commute to and from school easily while still gaining a little bit of independence that the teens always be seeking from their parents. You know what I mean? According to the Marshall Independent, Brandon's first year of classes ended on May 13th, 2008. That night, Brandon went out to celebrate with friends at not one, but 2 different parties. So he started the night at a party in this town called Lind. I know, 3 towns. This shit is getting fucking crazy. It's going to get so confusing. I swear. I'm going to make it as clear as possible. But
okay, right. We're at college. Canby, Lind?
Lind. So Lind is a smaller town that is just outside of Brandon's hometown of Marshall. Okay? So Lind and Marshall are very close to each other. He's from Marshall. He's at this first party in Lind, which is close to where he lives.
Okay.
And then Canby, the college town, is just about 30 miles away. Okay.
Okay.
So this first party reportedly was actually kind of like less of a party and more of just a casual get together with friends, just over some drinks, just friends having cocktails. You know what I mean? So in all, I think there were actually less than 10 people there. So it was nothing crazy. You know, it wasn't like some rager where they're like playing flip cup and screaming and all of that. Now, Brandon spent most of his night at this first party, is what we're going to call it. But he spent most of his night there at this first party in Lind. However, he did end up leaving that party around 10:30 p.m. Now, according to Brandon's friends who were at the party, he was drinking there. He was drinking at this first party, but it was very casually. He was just kind of like sipping on his drink over conversation, and no one felt that he was like drunk by any means. They weren't worried about him driving. They didn't see, he wasn't slurring his words. He wasn't acting weird, nothing like that. They said, yeah, he was drinking, but like he wasn't drunk. It's not like we were all ripping shots or anything like that.
I feel like if they know that he has gotten a DUI before, they would say like, yeah, he was like looking a little tipsy, like he should not have been driving. I feel like they would be more inclined to say that.
I would hope so. I also think it depends on your friends though. If you're hanging out with scummy people, they don't care and they don't care about you. They're just like your party friends. Mm-hmm. Then maybe they wouldn't. But like me and Emily, like the way we are with our friends, we would definitely yell at our friends and be like, no, you can't drive. Some of them probably still would.
Yeah.
But then if the police were asking us about them, we would be like, no, yeah, we told them. We tried to tell them.
100%.
I would tattletale on their ass so quick.
I would throw them right under the bus.
Don't drink and drive, kids. Don't drink and drive.
It's not good for you.
Now, after leaving this first party, he headed over to this second gathering, which was in Canby near the college campus, okay? So again, this is
Canby College campus.
This is over 30 minutes from his hometown of Marshall. So this drive from Lind to Canby, according to Google Maps, takes about 40 to 45 minutes, depending on which route you take. So this isn't like going 10 minutes to the next town over. This is a drive, especially like at night after you've had a couple drinks, even if you're not drunk. Now, however, if you check out the map, it looks like it's a relatively straight shot for most of the drive. So it's not like he's making a bunch of turns or anything like that. There's really one main road, and we're kind of going to get into the down and dirty of it in just a second. Now, I should also mention that like this one main road, the whole drive really seems to consist of kind of rural country roads, like long straight shots, not a ton of stuff around, all of that.
Like no highways, or are we talking like
I don't
middle
think
of
it
nowhere
was,
highways?
I don't think it was technically. It was like a state route.
Okay.
State route. Someone yell at me. I don't know what it is. So
potato.
It wasn't like a traditional highway the way you would think of with like exits or anything like that. Like I'm sure that there were traffic lights on this road, but you're
it was
probably
like
driving
55 and over,
right? Or maybe even higher than that, and whatever. Now it sounds like Brandon didn't stay long at this second party, as he reportedly only went to he basically just went so he could stop by and say bye to a friend from school that was going to be out of town for the summer. So his friends at this second party reported that they only saw him have one drink there. However, this was a shot of whiskey. But again, just one drink. So they said, yep, he came, just was saying bye, had this drink, and then he left. Now, these friends at the second party also reported that even though Brandon was drinking that evening, he did not appear drunk to them. But I do want to remind everybody, like these, Brandon was 19 years old. Like these are young kids. They're not even old enough to drink in the U.S.
Yeah.
Lame, but true. And so I'm like, I don't know if they have the best perception of like
how, like the drunk scale.
Right. Like they might think of drunk as like someone
Falling
vomiting in the yard. Like, yeah, that person's really drunk. It's like, well, they were drunk long before that.
Yeah, they're like borderline alcohol poisoning at this point. So I would say they're pretty drunk.
However, like I said, it's like there's no one was saying, oh my God, yeah, he was so drunk. He was acting so crazy. He was no one's saying any of that. They're like, he seemed fine. He seemed fine. Now, after leaving this second party in Canby, just after midnight, Brandon planned to drive back to his parents' house in Marshall, which again is very close to Lind, where that first party was, and is just about 30 miles from Canby. So, like I said, I know you guys are probably sitting there, you're like, Kelsey, stop talking about these fucking towns and roads. I'm so bored right now. But it is very important, and it's difficult to like picture it well when I'm just explaining it in an audio format. So, like I said at the beginning of the episode, we are going to post a ton of images for this case on our Facebook and our Instagram. So if you follow us at A Trial by Podcast, I've got maps, dude. I got pins dropped. You'll see everything you need to see there, I promise. However, for now, I'm going to do my best to explain the area, the roads, the routes, everything, so you can understand it. But like I said, me and Emily are very, very, very notoriously bad with directions. Like driving the wrong way down one-way streets, bad with directions, okay? So I don't know if I'm going to do a good job.
That was one time.
So actually, it was twice in like 20 minutes.
They count as one time.
Okay, fair. It was one day. It was just one day.
We're going to round up and count it one time.
So in order for you guys to follow what I'm saying, I want you to picture a square. Now, of course, this is not a perfect square in real life if you look at the map, but it's close enough for our purposes. So the top left corner of that square is Canby College campus. Remember that. And
Tri-C,
that's where,
if you will, if you're from
oh
Northeast
yeah, Tri-C,
Ohio.
Canby
Not the
College
same one,
campus.
but-
So that's the top left corner. This is where the college is, and this is also where the second party was. The bottom right corner is where Marshall is. That's where Brandon was from, and that's where he was driving home to that night when he was leaving that second party. Now picture a diagonal line from the top left corner in Canby to the bottom right corner in Marshall. That line is pretty much like a main road. And like I said, there are some turns and stuff to get onto this main road, I'm sure, like, because I don't have his address. I don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's pretty much a straight shot between those two towns.
Like, there's not many, ways to take besides that straight shot road.
None that wouldn't take you way longer than taking that main road.
Like, so out of the
From
way.
what I can see on the map. Obviously, I don't live there, so I could be wrong. But, like, when you look at a map, you'll see what I'm saying.
Okay.
Now, along this main road, there are 4 small towns that you pass through as you're going from Canby to Marshall. So top left corner to bottom right corner. And so I'm going to kind of talk about those. These ones aren't as important, though they are discussed later in the story. But I'll kind of explain where I'm talking about as I go. So if you start in Canby, where the second party was, first, when you're going down that main road, you go through a town called Porter, then a town called Taunton, then a town called Minneota, then a town called Ghent, and then you finally reach Marshall. I know it's too, maybe I'm harping too much. I'm going to keep going. So naturally, because this road was a straight shot, you would expect Brandon to take that road home, okay? Because he's going from Canby to Marshall. This road goes straight through him.
He's got a straight shot.
Okay? But Brandon doesn't do that. Instead, Brandon took the back roads home. So there are these smaller little side roads. Now, every time I've heard this case, people are like, why would he do that? That makes no sense. And to me, it seems very obvious. It's because he was drinking.
Yeah, and he's trying to avoid the stadies that were probably
Right,
posted up on that state highway or state road.
Obviously, we can't ask him, so I can't know that for sure. But like to me, that seems pretty likely that it's because he was drinking and he was scared of getting pulled over and getting another DUI.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the thing about these like side roads is they weren't just like your average like suburban roads. These were unlit rural offshoots, and some of them were even gravel. Like they weren't even paved or anything. Now, these roads are not aligned parallel to the highway either. They intersected at like a 45-degree angle. So it's not like a New York City block where it's like a perfect rectangle and you just are counting the rows. Like it gets confusing is the moral of the story. So,
we would definitely be lost.
oh, dude, and this is in 2008, I think. Is that what I said? 2008.
So they'll have smartphones, or when were smartphones?
There's no smart. Yeah, you can't just.
Is that MapQuest era, or is that before MapQuest?
I think it's MapQuest era, and maybe even like GPS in the car.
Oh, like the little screen.
But I don't think Brandon had one of those.
That's fair.
So,
well, also to be fair, it was like his college town and his hometown, so he should know where he's going.
And he drives it all the time.
Yeah, he's like, I don't need a MapQuest. I know where I'm going.
But according to everybody, he would always take that main road. Like he wouldn't take these back roads. And the thing about these back roads is because they don't go parallel and perpendicular to the highway, and they're kind of at a different angle than that. I'm calling it a highway, but really I think it's a state route.
Yeah.
But because they go at an angle to that state route, if you want to go in the same direction of the state route, you just keep having to turn, and do like a zigzag pattern all the way down because you can't just go on the next road over and go the same direction.
Yeah.
They're all
See,
going
when I'm
different
driving
directions.
somewhere, I go the least amount of turns possible so I can't miss one.
Yeah, me and Emily would just be like, we would have given
We
up.
would get stuck at turn 2 and be like, I don't know where I'm going.
We would get lost and we would flag the police officer down and we'd be like, excuse me, we've had a couple drinks this evening. Please arrest us because we shouldn't drink and drive.
Fucking lost.
And we don't drink and drive, guys. We don't. But we would have been like, we're so lost. We need you to help us. So not only does he have no GPS to tell him where he's going, he doesn't drive these like back roads, side roads often. But like also when I say that these roads were rural, I mean rural. There's no buildings in sight. And this is just from what I'm seeing on Google Maps, okay? Like the satellite pictures.
It's an alien abduction zone.
Yes. And like we're obviously from the suburbs and we're not from a rural area. So I'm sure you can tell by the way we're talking about it. But like there's not really buildings in sight. Like it's the type of roads where you probably go a few miles before you see like a house or a barn or something. You know what I mean? That type of thing. There's not a ton.
That's like when did you ever play that game as a kid when you're like driving by a cemetery, you're supposed to hold your breath until you see a white house? You'd be holding your breath for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's dangerous. It's dangerous.
A long time.
Now, there's also no telephone poles, like, not a ton of like street lights or anything like that. And the reason I point this all out is because he's driving around in the dark. Like this is
That's
after
like
midnight.
Jeepers Creepers type shit is what I'm envisioning.
Right. So it's not like there's any landmarks that he's like, oh, I remember this, after this building, I need to turn right. And then, you know what I mean? So it's like no GPS. There's probably, I don't know. To me, maybe there are other people out there listening who are good with directions. And you're like, these girls are really making a big deal about. I'm telling you, I'd be lost in 3 minutes. 3 minutes, I would be done. Now, at some point, Brandon took a wrong turn and he did end up on a gravel road. And he ended up driving his car into a ditch, obviously on accident. Now, from his own account, he was not injured in this minor accident, but the car was stuck in the ditch. He could not get it out. So at this point, Brandon is alone. He's in the dark. He's in the middle of nowhere, kind of, the way from my perspective, I guess. And he's just kind of stuck. However, he did have a cell phone. So it's not a smartphone, it's a cell phone. But phone records showed that Brandon attempted to call friends for help around 1:15 a.m., but none of them came to his rescue. I don't know if they answered the phone or not. I think no one answered. So after a while of trying to get a hold of friends to help him, Brandon, I'm sure he kind of had to suck it up and just call his parents. So he called his parents at 1:54 a.m. to ask them to come get him. Now remember, it is reported that he left that second party just after midnight. So this is almost
like 2 hours later.
It's been at least an hour and a half.
Damn, he really didn't want to call his parents.
Right. Now, of course, Brandon's parents, who are named Brian and Annette, they agree to come get him immediately. And they're like, okay, tell us where you are. Now, Brandon told them, he's like, look, I'm really close to Lind. If you remember, Lind is the town where the first party was that is really close to his parents' house, okay? It's just about 7 miles away from Marshall where his parents' house is. So picture that square again. No, that's too much. So again, Brandon is telling his parents that he is between Lind and Marshall, where that first party was and where his house is. So this isn't far for them. So they're like, yeah, for sure. We'll come get you. So they hop into their truck and they head out to get him. Now, they stayed on the phone with Brandon this whole time. And they're just talking to him the whole time they drive so they could figure out exactly where he was. Like, he's like, look, I'm in between Lind and Marshall. This is the general area. But, like, he didn't know what street he was on or anything. Like, he thought he had taken a wrong turn. Mm-hmm. Now, while
he's like, I don't know where I am, but I've been driving for so fucking long that I got to be close to home.
That's what it sounds like. Now, while they were on the phone, the call did drop a few times during their drive just because I think they like lost service, but it would pick back up every time. So like they were pretty much in constant contact with him. And while they drove, Brandon stayed with his car, just telling them like where he was. So once they got to an area that they believed was close to where Brandon was describing, they drove around slowly, but they never caught sight of their son. And they kept asking him like more and more questions because they're not able to find him. And they're like, they start kind of asking him like, hey, maybe you're not exactly where you think you are. But Brandon was insistent. He kept telling, he's like, I know where I am. This is where I am. Like, why can't you find me? And Brian, who is Brandon's father, later told CNN's Alexis Weed, quote, he was absolutely positive he knew where he was, end quote. So
that's kind of creepy. That gives me a creepy feeling because they're like, yeah, we're like literally where you told us you are and we don't see you. And he's like, dude, I'm literally right here and I don't see you.
Right, exactly. And so then Brandon starts telling them, you must not be going where I'm telling you to go.
Yeah.
Like,
and they're like, no,
missing.
You're not telling us the right way.
Exactly. Like they both think like the other party is misunderstanding what they're saying.
Ooh, that's creepy.
But they're like, we are where you're telling us to go. Mm-hmm. So they're like, so at this point, they tried flashing their lights for a little bit, thinking maybe he's like, you know, he can't see them because there's like plants or something. So they start flashing the lights. Mm-hmm. But Brandon still does not see them. So they start telling Brandon to flash his lights because his car still works. Like, it's not like the car is totaled or anything. It's just stuck in this ditch.
Yeah,
like,
he just like ran off the road a little bit.
Right. It wasn't like a major thing. He just couldn't get it out. So Brandon, they're like, okay, go flash your lights. So he goes, he starts flashing the lights. Of course, they're still on the phone. And the parents can literally hear that he is flashing the lights. Like, they can hear the click of the headlights turning on and off, but they don't see the lights anywhere. So at this point, they're like, dude, you cannot be where you're telling us you are. But he was insisting. So after a while of all of this back and forth, Brandon just started to get super frustrated with his parents because he's like, why can you guys not find me? And at one point, he even hung up on them. But his mom like immediately called him back and she was like, look, I'm sorry. Like, I'm doing my best to find you. But like, you know, I can't find you if you hang up. And so he tells them, you know what, what we're doing, it's not working. He said that he was super close to Lind, which again is that town just super close to Marshall where his hometown was. And he's like, look, I am so close to Lind that I can see the lights from the town. Like, I can see, you know, the town center area. Mm-hmm. And he told his parents, look, I'm just going to walk to Lind. And then there was like this local bar that they all knew, like they had been to before. So he's like, I'm going to meet you in the parking lot of the bar. His parents agreed, but they knew that it was going to take a while for Brandon to walk all the way there. So Brian was like, basically, he just thought it'll be easier. Let me just drop your mom off at home. So he went to the house to drop Annette off at home. And then he was going to head back out to the bar to get Brandon. And at that point, like, they're so close in this little area, like they would probably still get there even before he walked all the way there. So Brian still stayed on the phone with Brandon this entire time while Brandon was walking and while Brian was going to drop Annette off at the house. Now, at some point during this walk, Brandon told Brian that he was going to cut through a field as it would be much quicker than walking alongside the road. Now, Brian also said that at one point he heard running water in the background of the call. Now, in hindsight, these things don't make any sense for the area that Brandon was saying that he was. So if you were to look at a map and where Brandon was saying that he was, and again, we're going to have some images on the Instagram that you can see, there was no running water where Brandon thought he was. And it wouldn't make sense that it would be quicker for him to cut through a field to walk to Lynn as this street, or not street, road, whatever, as this road that he was on would have gone directly into the town. That would have been the straight shot, is the road. It wouldn't have made sense for him to cut through. Now, so Brandon's walking. He's saying that he's cutting through this field. He's walking through the field. And this is about 47 minutes into their phone call. Brandon was like mid-sentence talking. And then all of a sudden, he interrupts himself mid-sentence and exclaims, "Oh, shit." After this, the call was still live. They were still on the phone, but Brandon was silent from his end. Now, at this point, Brian hadn't gotten to the house yet to drop Annette off, or at least he hadn't left yet because they're both still on the phone with him. And they're like, hey, trying to get his attention, and he's just not responding. So they're like, that's weird. Maybe he fell and dropped the phone or something and he can't find it in the dark. So eventually they decide to hang up. And they start calling him back over and over and over again. But Brandon never answers the phone again.
This episode is brought to you by Etsy.
Oh.
Hear that?
Okay. Thank you.
Etsy knows these aren't the sounds of holiday gifting. Well, not the ones you're hoping for. You want squeals of delight. Happy tears.
How did you?
And spontaneously written songs of joy.
I am so happy. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Okay, the song needs a bit of work, but anyway, to get those reactions, make sure everyone on your list feels heard with handmade, handpicked, and designed gifts from small shops on Etsy. Gifts like personalized jewelry, custom artwork, cozy style items, vintage pieces, and home decor to celebrate all of your favorite people and their specific kind of special. For original gifts that say, I get you, Etsy has it.
Bored at home? Head over to Chumba Casino and join some serious social casino fun. With hundreds of games at your fingertips, no purchase necessary. You can play anytime, anywhere. There's a special welcome bonus waiting for you when you sign up. Play for fun, play for free, and you could even redeem some great prizes. Visit ChumbaCasino.com and get ready to reel in the fun. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.
That's so creepy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did they say like they heard like water splashing or like rustling if he like fell or
They
dropped
said
the
that
phone?
they heard a slipping noise. I believe is the word they used. It was slipping.
Okay.
But there was no splash, nothing like that. They did hear running water in the background of the call, but it wasn't like right at this moment. It was earlier in the call. They just said they didn't hear a splash. They didn't hear anything besides like that, oh shit. And then it just kind of went quiet. And Brian later told CNN, quote, "We called at least 5 or 6 more times. He never picked up the phone again," end quote.
So scary.
So at this point, they don't know what to do. They're like, why isn't he answering? Did his phone break? What is going on?
Oh, if I was his parents, I'd be in a full-blown panic. Like,
Sounds
it's
like they
literally
were.
2 a.m, almost 3.
Oh, it's late now because
Yeah.
this has been going on. He called them at
like
1:54
yeah, it's-
a.m. They've been on the phone for at least 47 minutes. Like it's getting late into the night. Now, not sure what else to do. They began calling his friends, asking for help. And basically they get a bunch of people to go out and everyone's just driving around looking for him. And they're driving around Lind and Marshall because that's where Brandon said he was between Lind and Marshall. He said he could see Lind. He could see the lights from the town. So they drive around all night. but they found nothing. So around 6:30 a.m., with nothing else left, they decided to call the Lind Police Department to report Brandon missing. Now, at first, the police hesitated to help in the search. One officer told Annette that at Brandon's age, he, quote, had the right to go missing, end quote.
What?
And like, yeah, true. But
doesn't everybody have the right to go missing? But
he was calling his parents for help and was on the phone with them for almost an hour, trying to be found, begging for them to, why can't you find me?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
He's literally doing everything possible to be found. He's walking to try to be found by somebody.
So, yeah, like, exactly.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he has the right to go missing. Doesn't sound like he wanted to go missing. It sounds like he wanted his parents to fucking find him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
All the signs point to yes.
And when you hear that the last words he said to them on the phone were, oh shit, what, you think nothing's wrong?
Yeah. They're like, oh, he's playing you. He really just wanted to run away.
That blows my mind.
I hate that.
That literally blows my mind.
Not a lot of intelligence in that predicament or prediction right there.
Not with this officer, I'll tell you that. Mm-mm. Now, eventually, however, these dumb fuck officers did come around and they did join in the search for Brandon. And that afternoon, Brandon's car was found. However, it was not found near Lind, where Brandon said it was. Now you guys are getting why all the directions were so important.
Mm-hmm.
It was not found near Lind, but it was in between the towns of Porter and Taunton.
Where the fuck were those?
So let's go back to our square. Good question. Where the fuck are those?
Tri-C's up in the corner left, the left corner.
Canby.
The right bottom is Lind.
Lind/Marshall. I'm including them both in the bottom right corner.
Okay.
There's that road straight through from the top left corner of Canby to the bottom right corner of Marshall. And then, like I said, there are those 4 main towns. So, and this is in the order. If you start in Canby, the very next town after Canby is Porter. And then the town after that, the second one, is Taunton. There are then 2 more towns you hit before you get to the Marshall-Lind area. So he's saying
he wasn't
he's in
anywhere
Lind,
near
which,
where
by
he
the
was
way,
saying he was.
Is even further than Marshall is. And he's saying he's in Lind, but he's not. He's like in the upper left quadrant of our square, okay? And he's saying that he's below our bottom right corner. He thought he was outside of that square,
he
below
said,
the bottom right corner.
If we're doing Pummett squares, why?
Well, I don't know what that means, but someone's gonna comment.
He's in the farthest place that he can be from where he's supposed to be.
Yeah, pretty much, dude. Pretty much. Again, map on our Instagram. So now the area where his car was found was only a 15-minute drive from Canby, from the top left corner of our square. Now this, and that's where the second party was, remember? This is important because everyone said that he left the party just after midnight. I can't find more detail than that. So I don't know if that means 12:01 or 12:15, but I would assume it doesn't mean like 12:30.
Yeah.
Now, he didn't start reaching out to friends for help, like calling people for help after getting his car in the ditch, until around 1:15 a.m. So let's make an educated guess and say just after midnight means 12:15-ish. He's not calling people for help until 1:15. So this is a 15-minute drive away from where he was. That's about 45 minutes that's unaccounted for.
So was he just like driving around in circles for 45 minutes, or did he really just take that long to debate on calling for help?
I don't know. That's what people don't know. But would you wait 45 minutes before calling for help? If you're by yourself in the dark, your car's in a ditch, I feel like you would realize pretty quickly the car's not coming out of the ditch.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe 10 minutes you would wait, or 15 minutes.
I mean, maybe he was trying to push the car out. I don't know.
But how would you push it if someone has to
like.
gas it? Like hit the gas. That's true. You can't if you're by yourself. So everyone's, like what is he doing for those 45 minutes? That's really the question. And the answer is no one knows. No one knows.
That's scary.
Now, the other thing is, I don't know. I might say this again later. If so, I'll cut this part out, but I don't know for sure. It's like, he's from Marshall. He has friends in Lind. He goes to school in Canby. He's got friends there. He does that drive every day. Why did he think he was near Marshall and Lind when he was so fucking far away?
Yeah, like what lights did he see then when he was like, I see the lights at Lind?
Well, that's a good question. So everyone that like I've heard cover this case says different things. Now, personally, from what I've read, and the maps that I've looked at, I personally believe that the lights that he saw were probably the town of Porter. So I've read some people speculating that it was Taunton or Minneota, but I think that Porter makes the most sense from what I've read because he said he heard running water. Now there's this river that's called the Yellow Medicine River. While it does run right past Taunton, based on the direction that they did find out he was walking based on cell phone data, it would make sense that he was walking somewhat close to this river, but he was walking the direction towards Porter. So if he's walking that direction and this is through that field that he's talking about, and I'll get into more detail in a few minutes, but if he's walking that direction, he's walking towards Porter, it makes me think the lights that he saw were Porter. I don't know, but I've heard other people say Taunton and some people say Minneota.
So there was a river that he could have been referring to, like where he was by him?
There was definitely a river.
That's scary. Ew. That's so creepy how he like was. I mean, I'm pretty bad at directions, but I wouldn't say I would be that confident that I am 100% near Lind when I am not in 45 minutes away. So
right, I feel
mean, like that's I don't know.
It makes no sense to me because like he supposedly knew this area very well, and part of me wants to say like, well, maybe it's because he was drinking. He didn't realize. Maybe. But you know, I
mean, maybe that's why he ended up in the ditch too, because he was thinking he was turning one way and he was actually going on a random street with a ditch.
Right. But again, it's like everyone says that he didn't seem drunk. He wasn't drinking that much.
Well, did his parents say anything like he sounded weird on the phone or?
Good question. No, they say he did not. They're like, we know our son. We knew that he drank.
Yeah.
We know how he acts. And he was not. And they are like, they swear. They're like, we would have known if he was drunk. He was not drunk. He did not sound intoxicated at all.
Back to where I was saying the friends would say like, oh, I think he was drunk. Like, because they knew he had a DUI and they knew that he drank. Mm-hmm. I feel like your parents wouldn't do. I mean, maybe some parents would cover that, but I feel like if they're trying to like find their kid, then I don't think that they would have covered that up and been like, oh yeah, no, he didn't sound bad at all, and I know how he sounds. And
exactly, like I feel like these parents, they just wanted to find their son. And we'll get into more about the parents. Like my heart goes out to these parents because all they want is answers. And I think if they believed that part of the answer was that this happened because Brandon was drunk, I truly believe that they would be like, look, yeah, he was drunk. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And we gotta find him. But it really seems like they wholeheartedly believe that he was not drunk. So, but again, it's just like, how did he not? I guess it's like if there's not a ton of landmarks and it's just rural, like straight shot roads, maybe it's just easy to mix up. But you would think like these are like at least 30 minutes apart he was at least 30 minutes away from where he thought he was and where he was saying he was. From where he actually was. I'm like, that is it's not 5 minutes down the road. It's not a few miles. Like this is, I don't know exactly between the location and where he was, but between the two major cities, it's 30 miles. So I'm like, this has got to be more than like 20 miles or something. This is far. It's far.
That and it has me thinking like he wasn't paying attention to the street signs. He was just turning.
Right.
Wherever. Because then if he was, then he'd be like, yeah, I just turned on this street. I'm not anywhere near Lind.
Right. Or maybe there aren't a ton of street signs there. I don't know. I don't know how that works, but you would think there would be.
Well, if he's turning on a bunch of side streets, I mean, I would hope. How would you know what
Well, because
street
if they
you're
were
on?
gravel, like maybe they're unmarked because they're not like,
Ooh.
you know, maybe they aren't like supposed to be public roads. I don't know. I don't know.
Seems like the middle of fucking nowhere to me.
Middle fucking nowhere to me. It took me a second to process what you said. Now, despite the car being stuck in the ditch, like I said, it's not like it was totaled or anything like super serious. In fact, it was barely damaged at all. Now, weirdly, according to the FBI, the car was found with the doors open, okay? But no keys were found at the scene. Now, this is the thing that everybody debates is when they say that the doors were open, we don't know if they mean literally open, like held open. You don't have to even touch it to get into the car because the door is wide open.
It's like ajar.
Ajar, that's, yes. Beautiful. Wow, that vocab. Great job.
Thank you.
And so they don't know if the doors are ajar or if when they said open, if they just meant that the doors were unlocked.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
There's confusion from
I
the
could see
public
both
about
ways.
that. So the FBI made this statement saying the doors were open when we found it.
Well, I feel
But
like that's
people
a
are
big
like-
difference, though, FBI.
What does open mean? Because to
Yeah.
me, open means ajar. But
Yeah,
I
me
saw
too.
a lot of people online saying, no, open means like if the car's unlocked, I would say the car's open.
Which I also couldn't see where
Right,
they would
that
think
makes-
that. I'm
that
like,
makes
that
sense,
also makes
too.
sense. That's,
But-
I feel like I don't know. I feel like they wouldn't
This
they
is
be
the
more
kind of
specific?
Shit, this is the kind of shit where I'm like, I've heard that question be asked in like 15,000 true crime podcasts and true crime TV shows. Can the FBI answer it for us? Can someone
Comment on the pod.
You know what I mean? Like that can't be, that's not like pertinent information that they need to like keep a secret. You know what I mean? Just explain what that meant.
Is there like a customer service or like an info@FBI
Yeah.
email that I can ask and be like, hey, would you know if this is what they meant by open or ajar or like
Because
unlocked?
I think it does matter. I do think I think it could be a major clue if the doors were wide open. Now, they did find one more odd thing about the scene. So Brandon, who was legally blind in one eye, had left his glasses inside the car.
Oh, that's weird.
This little detail about the glasses absolutely fucks my mind up. And
Yeah, same.
the
That's
more
like,
we talk about it, the more I'll get into why. But
what was his prescription? Like, how bad did he need these glasses?
well, he was legally blind in one eye, so,
Oh, so
pretty
pretty
bad. Pretty bad. And this is the thing is, I read everywhere the glasses were inside the car. Okay, where inside the car? Were they on the seat? Were they on the ground? Did they maybe fly off during the accident and he couldn't find them? But also, it's like he was turning the headlights on, so he could have turned the lights on
There's
in the
like
car.
so many weird things about this case.
And
like, what?
and if he's walking to this bar that he sees far as fuck away and it's black outside, why wouldn't you take your glasses if you're like?
Maybe that's why he thought it was limbed, because he's like couldn't fucking see half of the lights.
That's the other thing is like, was he not wearing them when he was driving?
Yeah.
Is that why he was so confused on where he was?
Well, if I was like trying to get some clarity, like trying to figure out where the fuck I am and telling my parents to come get me because I'm in the middle of nowhere and I think I know where I am, but like I think I would probably put my glasses on to make sure I knew where I was.
I literally, so I have very bad vision, very, very bad vision. I wear contacts 24/7 pretty much. I don't have, like, I'm not legally blind, so it's not that bad, but like I can't read my phone without my contacts in. And not because I have like, I need readers, but because it's too far away. Like I have to hold my phone like 6 inches in front of my face to read it. That's how bad my vision is.
Does that mean you're nearsighted or farsighted?
I don't know. That's always confused me. My far sight is bad. My near sight is good. Okay.
Do with that what you will.
Now, here's the thing. I'm telling you, I don't even like walking to the bathroom at night. Like if I wake up in bed and I need to use the restroom, like I don't even like I need to grab
You gotta
my
like
glasses.
stick your arms out.
No, I swear.
Spread eagles. To, like,
I do.
Get your feelers to make sure you don't run into a wall.
I do because I'm like cannot see shit, dude. Like, so I cannot imagine that someone who has worse vision than I do is legally blind in one eye would just be walking.
Dude, you're a robber's dream. You better hope nobody comes into your house at night and you're not going to be able to.
Girl,
they could have their mask off and you wouldn't even be able to tell
don't worry,
who they
I got
were.
5 pairs of glasses in my nightstand.
You got one
of all different prescription levels, so I just hope I picked the right one up. I'm like, hold on, not these
reader
ones.
roulette.
But like, that really messes me up. And I'm like, maybe they fell off when he crashed and maybe they were on the floor or something. But I'm like, the headlights were turning on for him. So the lights inside the car were working. Like, he could have found the glasses, I feel like.
I feel like if it was a jerk that much to get his glasses thrown off his face, I feel like his airbag probably would have deployed. No?
Yeah, and they didn't. And here's
this
the
is
thing:
why
is like,
I'm like, what? At what point did he remove the glasses?
That's where it starts to get like sus as fuck for me.
Yeah,
the glasses, because it's not like they found the glasses in a field or something. Like, he was on the phone with his parents when he left the car to start walking, and he was walking for a while while he was on the phone
for like
with
a half an hour, wasn't he?
So he never mentioned to them that he didn't have his glasses and he couldn't see. You know what I mean? Like, why did he take the glasses off? It just makes zero sense to me. And we're gonna get into some more detail, but like, this is the one thing that I'm like, it makes me. He said, "Oh shit," but it's like, it seems like something weird was going on way before he said that. Oh shit.
Yeah, because that gives me chills. Because why couldn't you just wait in the car? If I was him, I'd be sleeping in the car with all the doors locked until somebody could find me. I wouldn't be wandering on my own and leave my like lifeline to see in the car.
Here's the thing too, is it was chilly out that night. I think I haven't. I think I mentioned it later, but it was like in the 40s that night.
Oh,
so it's not like it was freezing, but it was chilly.
I mean, to me, it
night,
depends on who you ask, but that's pretty cold. Freezing, I guess, is technically below like 32 degrees, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think it was like high 40s, but that is still chilly.
Yeah, that's cold.
And his jacket was in the car.
That's like lower than jacket weather. That's like borderline coat weather.
Like, for me, that is parka weather. I am such a freeze baby. Like, that's hat, gloves, and parka.
Jacket for me, and a hat.
Okay, so I'm going to stop harping on the glasses for now, but I promise I will harp on them more. So if you're already annoyed, just be trigger warning, okay?
They're important.
So at this point, the police, when they find the glasses in the car and the way that the car was left, the police are like, okay, this is fucking serious. Like, something bad is happening right now. Because again, this is just like the day after, like the same day basically that they were all looking for him. So they have helicopters search from the air, and they also brought out search dogs to follow Brandon's scent from the car. Now, the bloodhounds led them, and I'm sorry, I said earlier that they knew which direction he walked because of cell phone data. I'm sorry, that was incorrect. I remember now. It was from the bloodhounds. So the bloodhounds were tracing his scent. That is how they knew what direction he was walking. That was my bad.
Dude, I think bloodhounds are the coolest like technology that is not a technology. If that makes sense.
They did a decent job here.
So I'm saying, like, how do they know to sniff and find?
I don't know. Humans teach them.
It's pretty cool.
Now, the bloodhounds led them south down the closest road and then west at the next intersection. This road goes over the Yellow Medicine River. So, again, it makes sense. You know, his dad heard running water in the background on the phone. At the next intersection, the dogs tracked his scent, turning north again. So at this point, he goes down, and if you're looking at a map, and because if you're bad
bring
with
out your trusty map.
If you're bad with north, east, south, and west, I'm going to give you left and right. So basically, he goes down on a street, then he's going left, and then he goes back up, okay? He goes south, west, north. So he's doing like a U shape, okay?
He's pulling a U-y.
And when he makes the second turn to go north again, He's now going away from that big diagonal road that I'm talking about. Then at some point on this road, as he's going north, this is when he goes off the road and starts walking through a field. And the direction that he walked towards this field or into this field was toward both the river and also toward the city of Porter. So again, this is why I think the lights that he saw were Porter, because that's the direction he was walking through the field. And he told his dad on the phone, hey, I'm going to walk through this field because it seems like it's a shortcut to get to Porter.
Yeah.
So now in total, the bloodhounds tracked Brandon's scent for about 3 miles. Now, at the time of this search, it was believed that Brandon must have fallen into the river at first. They're like, he had to have fallen. That's why he said, oh shit. And the dogs led them to the edge of the river. So they're like,
he said, oh shit, right here.
He said, yeah, like
Ding, ding,
the
ding,
dogs
ding.
led them to the river. They're like, he must have said, oh shit, he fell into the river. That's why he never answered the phone again. And even though it wasn't a large river, it was flowing very quickly that night. And it was as deep as 15 feet or almost 5 meters in some areas.
That's a deep fucking river.
Everyone assumed Brandon must have drowned in the river.
Yeah.
And they were basically, teams searched this river for weeks after his disappearance, waiting for his body to wash up, waiting for some of his clothes to wash up, waiting to find that cell phone on the riverbank. They found nothing. They searched it for weeks and they found nothing. Now, the Lincoln County Sheriff, who is Jack Vizecki, told CNN that the 2 miles of river in the area took about 6 hours to walk in total. And he said that he walked it every single day for 30 days after Brandon's disappearance. Now, there's other searchers walking this, but just he personally walked this every single day for 30 days after Brandon's disappearance. They began searching downstream as well, thinking maybe his body had flowed downstream. But like I said, they find nothing. His body never washes up. They never find his clothes, his phone, any of his belongings. And there was also there's just no evidence to indicate that he drowned in this river. It made no sense that, bodies don't just disappear in a body of water that size. They wash up. Now,
I mean, yeah, and there's people that like study rivers. Like they're pretty calculated, like
yes,
if something falls into it, it's going to either wash up or end up wherever the river drains to.
Right. And a lot of the times too, they can even predict, when something would wash up and about where, based on the speed of the river and the time of year and all of these different things. So it just, the fact that there was no body and not even clothes or anything washing up, it made no sense. Now, Brandon's mother, Annette, told CNN, quote, "There really is nothing to indicate that he's in the river. The dog actually jumped in the river, jumped back out, worked the trail up to another gravel road, and then lost the scent," end quote. So even though everyone's thinking he's in the river because the dog went into the river, the dog was able to catch the scent further downstream. And then he went back out and he continued following the scent up a trail to another gravel road. So, if you trust these dogs and trust their training, which I think they're pretty decent, usually, I'm sure they're not perfect.
I trust them.
If he fell into this river, it really seems like he got out of the river. Some point.
Why would the dogs take? And
nothing washed up. The dogs found the scent elsewhere. They were able to follow it. Like, it just makes sense. So after that, everyone's like, okay, he got out of the river. Well, where is he? Everyone is at this point. It's been weeks. It's believed that Brandon is no longer alive. Something has happened to him, but we don't know what. So they start searching the area with cadaver dogs just a few weeks after his disappearance. The cadaver dogs never hit on anything. Nothing. So
no dead dot, no dead body. But like, what is, how like sometimes like meat doesn't smell when it's frozen, does it?
Not to us, but to a cadaver dog, I think it would.
Okay.
I mean, they're probably trained on human sense, but like...
But frozen human sense?
Well, I don't know. But it wasn't
cold.
that cold. Like, it
Yeah, I
wasn't
guess it
frozen.
wasn't- yeah,
it wasn't
that's true.
frozen. Because it was May. This was in May. So if Brandon had been decomposing in the area for weeks, like, I just feel like the dogs would have smelled something. Now, so really the question is, if Brandon didn't drown in the river, what could have happened to him? So there are an array of theories, and the deeper you dive on the internet, the crazier they get. But I'm going to go over the main theories. I know one of them is like he was abducted by aliens. I'm not even going to entertain that. So if that's the kind of stuff you're looking for, go on YouTube or Reddit or something.
Honestly, that's was in the back of my head this whole time. I'm like, dude, he's in prime alien abduction area, middle of fucking nowhere, the middle of the dark. He can't see shit. I mean, if I was an alien, I'd be like that guy right there.
That's true. Solid point.
You know?
Okay. So
if you're an alien, let me know.
Yeah.
But like
all of the aliens listening right now, is that what you would do?
Just leave an alien comment if you're still with us. Anywhere you want.
So back to real serious theories. So the first one that we're just going to get out of the way real quick is foul play. So a lot of people think Brandon met with foul play, all of this. Now, according to Sheriff Vizecki, of course, this is a possibility. We don't know. But he says it seems extremely unlikely, saying, quote, "I can't say someone else wasn't there, but I can't find any evidence of it," end quote. So, some people say, well, if the doors were open, as in ajar, why would the doors multiple be open if only one person was in the car? So people are saying maybe there was someone with him, blah, 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 blah. But from all accounts of people at the party, he left alone. So I think it's unlikely. And again, like the sheriff is saying, there's no evidence of that. Now, it also seems that no one knew, no one had any ideas of who would want to hurt him. It's not like, oh, him and this guy got in a fight at the party and maybe it was this guy or anything like that. But there are still some people that suggest that maybe there was foul play even if there wasn't someone with him that he knew that night. Because like we mentioned earlier, Brandon had been flashing his lights over and over again in the dark that night. So was it possible that there was just the wrong person passing by at exactly the perfect time to see it, and this person just decided to take their opportunity to claim a random victim? Now, for a minute, I was like, okay, maybe. But for me, there's too much weird shit that happened before this to make this likely. Like the fact that he didn't know where he was, but he was so sure that he knew where he was.
Even without his glasses on, he was sure.
Yeah, and then he didn't have his glasses and all of this, to me, this makes no sense. And he was also on the phone with his parents for so long before he or for so long after he flashed the lights, and he had been walking away from the car. I don't know. I just feel like there's no evidence of this, so I don't want to harp on it too much.
We're going to move along.
The Ford Explorer is America's all-time best-selling SUV. But we couldn't leave it at that, because you still have unmarked paths to pursue. So we gave it an available 400 horsepower engine. It's up to you what you do with that power. The 2025 Ford Explorer. It's all in the name.
Based on S&P Global Mobility 1946 to current U.S. total new cumulative registrations for all vehicles identified as SUVs. Horsepower and torque ratings based on premium fuel per SAEJ 1349 standard. Your results may vary.
The reality is, guys prefer naturals. And if it's natural body wash you're looking for, Dr. Squatch has got you Natural Kings covered. The ingredients? Naturals. Scent options? Naturals. Around-the-clock moisturization? Naturally. Now available in-store and online at drsquatch.com. Dr. Squatch Body Wash for men who prefer natural.
I feel like, how has there not been a movie made about this story yet? Because this would be an insane movie. You could take it so many different directions.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Now, another theory that I'm going to brush over quickly is that he ran away from his life. I say dumb theory because
he didn't give me any flags that he wanted to run away.
No, there's no indication he wanted to leave. Like his life was going well. He was doing well in school. He had a bunch of friends. Like he was doing good. And like, also, if he wanted to run away, why was he calling his parents? Just ditch the car and someone finds it.
Why was he like, hey, I'm lost. Can you come and find me? That doesn't scream, I want to run away. Leave me alone.
Right. Exactly. I think bad theory.
Didn't give me like, I want to play hide and seek at 3 a.m. either. So.
Exactly. Now, a third theory is that he was killed by a farmer. There are a couple different versions of this theory. I'm going to start with one. Don't worry, I'm going to get to the one that all you guys are thinking about. But the first version of this theory is like, okay, maybe he's walking around. He goes to cut through this field. Maybe it's like private land. And a farmer who's like protecting their property sees him and shoots him and then disposes of the body.
That's a stretch, I feel.
I agree. Because
there's too many ifs in that one.
Why would a farmer be out in the middle of the night, first of all? And like, I know farmers get up early, but this is at what, like 2:30 in the morning? That seems like earlier than a farmer would be out. Second of all, like, I don't know, why would you just immediately shoot that person? Like, maybe some cuckoo crazy, but there's no blood anywhere. Like, that would probably be hard to find, but I don't know. I just think this is a silly theory. That's all I got on that one. Now, another theory is that, and this one's interesting, is that he either fell into a well or a sinkhole. So, like, this explains a couple things. First of all, it explains the oh shit, he fell. Mm-hmm. And I get bothered by this oh shit because like you read it, but I want to know, like, how did he say oh shit? Was it like oh shit, or was it like oh shit, like terrified? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To me, that like could probably knock a few of these theories out real quick, sure, if we know how it was
the gauge
said.
Of oh shit. Yeah.
But like to me, and like we said, Brandon's dad said that he heard like a slipping noise. Mm-hmm. So him falling into something kind of explains those things. And it also would explain why his body wasn't found, because it was in, it fell inside of something. So again, this is really two theories in one.
So disturbing. His body was never found because it fell inside of something.
Yeah. It's sad, dude. Can you, like, these parents have no answers. Like,
wait, you said they found the phone?
No, they never found the phone.
They never found him or the phone?
They never found any of his clothes that he was wearing besides like the jacket that was in the car. And
see, I feel like they would have at least, if he fell into a well or like a sinkhole, wouldn't they at least either find his phone, or if it fell with him, wouldn't his parents have heard that on the phone?
I don't know.
Unless it like cut out at this perfect moment where they didn't hear anything.
I don't know.
Oh, there's so many questions.
And here's the thing is this theory is really two theories. It's either a well or a sinkhole, which are pretty different. So let's start with sinkholes. So just in case, I think everyone knows what a sinkhole is, but I don't know if they call it something different in other countries, or like if there's any non-native English speakers listening, because we do have listeners in 69 countries. Thank you very much.
Not to toot our own horns, but toot.
So if anyone's confused by sinkhole, a sinkhole is basically just a hole in the ground, and it forms when water dissolves surface rock. That is according to National Geographic. So basically it like removes all this land underneath land, and there's a random hole in the ground. At this point, even if you didn't know the term sinkhole, I feel like you're catching my vibe on what it is.
It's pretty much like erosion happening, but underground. So you can't
and
see
then
it
the
until
world just opens up randomly and
it's
things
like an air
fall into
bubble.
it, and it's terrifying.
Dude, look up sinkholes. Some of them are so
Don't
terrifying.
I didn't know I
whole cars can be swallowed.
I did for this, and it freaks me out.
It's yeah.
Now this is my thing, is like a sinkhole doesn't just fill itself back up. So like
it doesn't go
if a sinkhole appeared,
just swallow you, and then it's like, oh, I'm good.
And then it's not like you just go and then the land looks the same. And especially like if this is farmland that this happened on, like a farmer would notice if there was a big sinkhole in their land. And if it wasn't farmland, then it was probably like public property that they could search, and the searchers would have noticed. And they also searched the air, like using helicopters in the air. I'm like, I feel like they would have seen a sinkhole.
Yeah, maybe it was like a sinkhole portal and then it was gone. But
unless, I don't know, maybe there are really tiny sinkholes. But
how would he fit in there?
That makes no sense to me. Now, what makes more sense out of these two is the well theory. That makes more sense to me personally. So basically, some people like theorize. So some wells in the United States, and I'm sure in other countries, like they're not used anymore. So they basically remove the top portion that's like above ground and cover up the well. And then if brush and stuff grows over that covering, and let's say it's 100 years old, I don't know what they cover it with, to be honest with you. But people are saying maybe it's covered in brush. Brandon fell into the well, and then, it's already covered. So he slips through, but it's not like a giant hole in the ground that you just see when you're searching. It just looks like normal ground. So unless you step on it and fall in, you don't know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. To me,
but isn't that theory like, couldn't that be debunked also if they just like asked the farmers in the area, like, hey, do you have any, I don't know, like a land map that says where a well could have been, or even like city
but also
records?
If you have like a billion jillion acres and the wells hasn't been used in 100 years or something, maybe you just don't know it's there. Because like farming equipment would go right over it. You know what I mean? Farming equipment's huge.
That's crazy. Could you imagine living on like a 5-acre farm and having like a well that's just swallowing people and you have no idea? But like, I don't know. Wouldn't like animals fall into it and shit? Like I could.
Yeah, but you wouldn't know.
Has got to be crazy,
but you
creepy.
Know. I don't know. It seems more plausible to me than the sinkhole does, but it also just seems like.
It's just,
I agree. Like, wouldn't
gives
you
me
notice?
The heebie-jeebies thinking about him just falling in a well and literally never being found again. That's terrifying.
Yeah, and his poor family, they have no idea.
Yeah.
So to this day,
I mean, it's been almost 20 years now, and nothing has been found.
Yeah, I mean, we've got all these theories, but it's at the end of the day, no one knows, and it's like,
creepy.
We sit here and discuss, and we're like, this is crazy. And it is crazy. It is fucking crazy. This is a very mysterious, crazy case, but it's also horrific for this family. I mean, to have to wonder and be,
that's like one of the worst ways to lose someone is them calling you saying, hey, I need help. Please help me. And they're like, yeah, like we're trying. And then you just never talk to them again ever.
And I'm sure they're probably annoyed. They're like, this motherfucker woke us up in the middle of the night.
Yeah,
I would be. I know my parents would be if I did that. I did do that to them, and I know they were.
I was gonna say I've
more
done
than
that
once,
a
and
couple times with my parents.
But like, it's just horrific, and I to lose a loved one and have zero answers on what happened is just horrific. Yeah. So with that being said, another theory is that, okay, so like we said, it seems based on the bloodhounds tracking his scent, it does seem like he fell in, or at least entered that river. Maybe he didn't even fall. Maybe he entered it on purpose. I don't know. But it seems like he did go into the river and then got back out and continued walking. So if that's true, if he got back out, he didn't drown, what could have happened to him? Well, it was reportedly below okay, so I'm sorry. I said it was high 40s. It must have been high 30s that night because it was, how do I say this? I keep fucking up because I wrote this so long ago. So I know I said it earlier, it was high 40s, but I'm sorry, I was misremembering because I wrote this so long ago.
reverse that real quick. It was high 30s.
Yeah, because I have in the script, so I know that this is right, and what I said earlier was a little bit off. But it was reportedly below 40 degrees Fahrenheit that night, which is less than 4.5 degrees Celsius for those who use Celsius.
I like using Celsius. It makes everything feel colder. You know?
For sure. For sure.
It's
smaller numbers,
what is
dude.
Freezing
less heat.
In Celsius.
0. What?
Oh.
And that is science lessons with Kelsey.
Okay. Is that like supposed to be a common known thing?
Yes.
I don't know. Celsius?
Yes. That's
but how do you know that?
Science class, 7th grade, Mr. Mansback.
You remember that? Well, I didn't have him. So.
Okay. Well, yeah. Who was your science teacher, 7th grade?
I don't know. It was like Miss.
Did a bad job.
She had curly brown hair. I don't remember her name.
I don't know.
She was really nice. I don't remember anything she told me.
She was too nice. She should have been harder on you guys.
Too nice.
So it was less than 4.5 degrees Celsius. So even though it was not freezing out, it was very cold. It was cold as shit.
Cold as shit.
Parka weather. And like I said, he left his jacket in the car. So some people are surmising, like, if he fell in the water and his clothes were soaking wet, it's possible he could have died from hypothermia because he's in soaking wet clothes, like walking around in the middle of the night.
Which is my point. He would have froze to death and nobody found him. So why?
But where's the body?
That's what I'm saying.
But where's the body?
Did somebody eat him, maybe? I don't know. Like coyotes they probably have out there if it's in the middle of nowhere.
But they were searching that day. You know what I mean? And they had and they had people looking by helicopter. And if this is it from the maps I'm looking at, it doesn't look like it's a densely wooded area. It looks like it's farmland. Like you know what I mean? Like it's fields, not forests. And I'm sure that ends at a certain point and that it is forested. But
I feel like the cadaver or the bloodhounds probably would have. I mean, well, if they followed their trail, they would have seen something. I feel like if he did die from hypothermia,
right? Or like, the cadaver dog smelling him, or seeing him from the air, or
but also it's been like 20 years now, and he's still nothing has been found.
Exactly, so that's why it's like
that's crazy.
I don't know. Here's the thing, too. Now, I also read in a bunch of places online, and these were not. I wouldn't consider these like trustworthy sources. Like these were like people theorizing or like people writing articles, but not for like reputable news stations or anything. Mm-hmm. But I read so many people saying this. They said that the bloodhounds hit on Brandon's scent on a piece of farm equipment, but that the owner of the farm would not allow the authorities to search his property.
Oh, shit.
However,
did he run him over?
However, like I said, every source I read this was like a secondary source, as in it's people reading information and repeating it like we do like on the podcast.
Like, like playing, what is that? Not phone booth. What do you call it? Telephone, yeah.
So I looked for this fact. I'm like, this is some crazy shit. I got to find out more about this and confirm this with a reliable source. I couldn't find it anywhere from a reputable source.
I feel like that's such a big thing if it was true, though.
This is the thing. Exactly. It is. And here's the thing is like, there's a couple possibilities. It's the first one is it's possible that this is true and this was like leaked and the police didn't want it out there. So
they're like, it didn't go anywhere.
So the media is not reporting on it, but I kind of feel like the media would still report on it because they're kind of douchebags sometimes.
They report on shit they shouldn't be reporting on, so.
Right. So the other possibility is that it's like a theory that someone had and it telephoned into misinformation and people are repeating it thinking it's true. But I don't know whether it's true. Because I can't verify it, I am going to operate with the assumption that this is not true. But I wanted to mention it in case... I want it
to be true, though, because I need answers.
Right. But I wanted to mention it in case you guys that go look for more information about this case and you see that that's the kind of stuff, like when you're looking up these cases, you have to question that stuff. You have to look at where you're reading it. Yeah, like take it with a grain of salt unless it's by a trustworthy source. I feel like you learn that in school when you're writing papers and stuff, but just wanted to mention it. The other thing that I don't get is like, if this person wasn't letting them search their property, why would they let the dogs be sniffing close to the farm equipment? Like, couldn't you put the farm equipment on in the middle of the property so the dogs can't get anywhere close? You know what I mean?
Well, maybe that's how they found it, was because it was already in the middle of nowhere and they didn't realize that they were on their property already.
That's actually a good point. Now,
oh man, I want to know if
all of these theories that I've mentioned leave some of the following questions unanswered for me. Number one, what was he doing in that extra 45-minute window after leaving the second party? So he left just after midnight, but he didn't reach out until to friends for help until 1:15 a.m. And he was only 15 minutes away from the party. What happened in that 45 minutes? Like, was he just lost driving around in circles? Had he crashed and maybe he was unconscious for a while and didn't realize it when he came to?
That's a good point. Maybe he got like a concussion and that's why he had to take off his glasses, because he's like, fuck, I have a headache.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
You know?
That's a good point about the glasses.
Maybe he hit his head when he went down. Because, I mean, even if your car's not totaled, you can still get it. Like, if you go into a ditch that's deep enough, then it's going to, jerk you forward.
Yeah. And I was kind of thinking, too, okay, maybe a concussion would explain why he didn't realize. Maybe it
got him out of whack.
Memory, so he didn't realize he had only been driving for 15 minutes, and he was just using visuals only to see where he was, because he didn't have the memory of doing that drive.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's why he didn't know where he was. But I didn't think about that with the glasses. Like, a headache could make you take off the glasses for sure. Now, so that goes into my second question, which was, why/how did he think he was near Lind when he was actually so far away and so close to his original location? But again, that could possibly answer that question. 3, and I guess you kind of covered this one too. This is a good theory you got here about the concussion. But this is the one that fucking gets me, is why would he not take his glasses with him?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to be thinking about that for ever, because I don't know.
Because that to me is him leaving the glasses in the car is so strange, but it seems like it was so far before something bad happened to him.
Yeah.
Right?
I feel like this whole night for him was just a series of unfortunate events.
Now, this is the one theory that I've heard, and this goes back to the farmer's theory, is there are reports, and you can look this up and find some other reports about it, is there have been other circumstances where people have fallen asleep in fields, in farming territory, and been run over by farm equipment because the farmers don't see them. They're, the crops are high, especially if it's a cornfield or something.
Yeah.
And they run them over with the farm equipment and they're killed. There's actually one story, and I heard this on when Morbid covered this case years ago. There's one story about a girl who she actually got run over. Her and her friend got run over by farm equipment, and she called 911 for help. And by the time the police arrived, they had both passed away. But it's a thing that happens, and some people say, well, maybe a farmer ran over them with the farm equipment, and then they were scared.
They were like, "Oh, fuck! I just ran someone over."
And then they hit his body.
I mean,
now for me, at first I was like, oh, that's it. That's what happened. Someone had to have hit. That's where I get lost. I'm like, someone had to have hit his body. But that doesn't explain the oh shit on the phone, because you would have heard the farm equipment on the phone.
Yeah, but maybe it's also still true that he fell into the river, got back out, and then was so cold that he collapsed in a farm.
Oh, so he lost the phone in the river.
Yeah, he lost the phone before he even got to the field. That's what my gut is telling me.
That's a
is
really
that
good
he
point.
dropped the phone, fell into the river, got back out, was able to make it out on the other side, and then just kept wandering until maybe he like collapsed somewhere because he was cold.
It's just heartbreaking because if that is what happened, what a series of fucking unfortunate events that had to lead him to this.
Yeah,
he
that's
gets
what I'm
lost.
saying.
He gets in the
forgets his
car.
sunglasses. He leaves his jacket, which would have kept him warm.
He falls in the river. He's accidentally run over by farm equipment. And that's what some people say about the hypothermia too, is maybe he like got so cold from the hypothermia that he laid down, because that's one of the stages of hypothermia. You get in the fetal position.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he's in the fetal position. He gets run over by the farm equipment. But it's like, not only do you have to get run over by farm equipment, which is obviously like the odds of that happening are so low and so crazy.
Yeah.
But then you also have to add on the low odds that the farmer is such a piece of shit that they're going to hide the body instead of like calling 911.
And clean off all of their farm equipment.
Yeah, and they're going to and they're deciding to let these parents live the rest of their lives with no answers.
I mean, we have...
You know what I mean?
I mean, we've touched on some pretty fucked up people, so I wouldn't put it past them.
Right, but like what are the odds that that's the one that you're in their field and they, whatever.
Oh, that's... Yeah.
But to me, it just seems like... It seems like... I feel like it's so unlikely that someone was like after him and trying to kill him.
Yeah.
But I also feel like his body must have been hidden.
Yeah, because 20 years, and nobody has found literally anything. His phone or his clothes.
How does that happen by
shoes,
accident?
His nothing.
I don't know. Maybe the well thing, but also couldn't the cadaver dog sniff out the well? I don't know.
Yeah.
They weren't allowed to search all the properties though, because some people, they had farm animals and farmers. That's how they make their living.
Yeah, the animals get stressed, but also it's a fucking disappearing. What do you call it? A disappearance case.
Yeah,
probably either murder or
right. Like I mean I don't have a farm, so I don't know, but like I would like to think I would let them but maybe the police could have really fucked up their farm and like really fucked up their profits and they were relying on it. I don't know. But this whole thing is just like
sad.
I don't know. It's the glasses for me though, that it just makes the whole thing feel so weird. Like
it just feels eerie. Like you said, it was
because
just
it feels
everything that happened was just so unfortunate.
Right. And it feels like there are all these separate little things that are unlucky or unfortunate or whatever word you want to use. That it feels like there's so many of them that you're like, how are they not connected?
Yeah, like how is all of these things have to be a coincidence?
But it makes no sense. And I feel like there's, different theories explain different parts, like the well thing that could explain, but none of them explain everything. And
the
it's
phone
just
call
like
to me
mind
is like
boggling.
the craziest thing because, I mean, they were able to tell you what happened and where he was, like not where he was, but like how he was feeling. And I mean, if he was being followed by somebody, I feel like he would have said that. So I feel like that's not.
Which is just like like the parents were doing all the right things. Like they got up, they got out of bed in the middle of the night and they went to get their son.
And honestly, so was he. He was like calling and saying, I need help. I know where I am.
And there's something about them being on the phone and him saying, oh shit, that it's so heartbreaking and just terrifying because
like that was his last word. Like
that's what you do when you're alone and you're scared. You call someone because that makes you feel safe or safer. That if you're walking alone at night and you're scared, or you're home alone and you hear a noise, you call somebody because that gives you a comfort and makes you feel safe. And for everyone, and including Brandon and his parents up until that point, but for everyone listening, it's like, for the most part, you ended up being safe in all those situations. So it's kind of like once you hear your parents' voice, you feel better because you're like, I know that if something bad happens, like they're gonna, they're on their way. They're looking for me. They're gonna find me. They're gonna help me. And they did everything they possibly fucking could have. And
that's what's like so heart-wrenching to me. And I'm like, oh.
And it's terrifying to think, you know, it is possible that there was foul play, whether someone did this on purpose or someone did it on accident and then hit a body or whatever. But there's also a possibility that all of this, every step of the way, was accidental and it was by chance. And there's something about that that is so fucking terrifying to me.
Yeah, it's like Final Destination. It was like you can't escape it. It's creepy.
It just, and my heart breaks for these families. But at the same time, like, personally, I feel like someone knows what happened to him.
There's no way that not one other person doesn't, like,
I feel like someone hid that body.
Way. Yeah.
The chance of him falling into a well that happens to be covered by plant growth, no one ever finding him, nothing. I just feel like that chance is so low. I feel like it's much more likely that someone moved his body, that someone hid his body, that someone did something with his body. And I, like, personally, I believe that, like, someone knows what happened to him and someone is making his parents live with no fucking answers. And, like, I just don't, why are you doing that to this family?
Yeah, if you're that person out there, I don't like you. I hope you have no friends.
Like, I do, to me, it seems most likely that maybe he was run over by farm equipment. And maybe he was even dead before he was run over by the farm equipment. Maybe he died of hypothermia and then was run over. We don't know. But, like, that seems like the most likely scenario to me personally. So I don't know. Like, I just...
How would that work? Like, would that be considered because they wouldn't be able to tell if he was dead before he was run over?
Well, they would because if you're dead, you don't bleed and stuff.
Oh.
So, like, I mean, obviously... It depends how badly.
There's probably gonna be blood everywhere, though.
Yeah, but I think an autopsy would be able to determine that.
Okay.
Like, but I don't know. I don't know how badly what the farm equipment would do to a body. So I don't know for sure. But, like,
I just find it so hard to believe that, like,
I just hope that, like, one day we get at the very fucking least, someone gives, like, a deathbed confession. Like, if you're gonna be such a fucking piece of garbage human that you're not going to give this family any answers because you're so scared of what's going to happen to you, I just hope that you're you can at least give a deathbed confession so the family can have some answers. Because, I mean, how do you sleep at night being these parents? Like,
even if that was what happened, I mean, I hope. No, I'm not going to say what I was thinking, but I just hope that karma gets them back, and I hope that they are having a really shitty time living with it, if that is something that they did, but I don't know, man.
By the way, like, you can't have a good life after you do something like that.
No.
Like, I understand being scared in the moment. I cannot imagine having a realization that you've accidentally killed somebody.
And you have to live with that fact
but
all
this
your
is
entire
not
life.
how you do it. This is not how you, like, this doesn't make this situation better. This, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. So, Annette and Brian have never given up on searching for answers on what happened to Brandon. But in addition to all of the work that they've done looking for their answers, they've also spent their time advocating for missing adults and their families. So really what it goes back to is that they were appalled at the response of police when Brandon went missing. Like, the whole fact that they were like, well, he has the right to go missing type of thing. They're like, absolutely the fuck not. They felt like they moved too slowly, and they genuinely feel like maybe they could have had answers if the police had worked faster. So
I also hate that stigma of, like, when anyone goes missing. This guy was 19. Like, I don't think if he wanted to run away, I don't think he really needed to. He was an adult, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. And why would he, like, call his parents at 2 a.m. and wake them up? Just leave the car somewhere. Like,
yeah, literally. And I hate that they're like, oh, well, he just ran away. He has the right to do that. Yeah, okay, he does. But that's not what he was doing.
Right.
I don't understand what fucking clues
and
you
Brian
are
and Annette
having.
are like, depending on what happened to him, like, it's possible if they had started searching for him right away, they might have found him. They might have found him alive and been able to help him if he was hurt or something. Who fucking knows? But this is what they are like actively working to change. So with a push from Brian and Annette, Minnesota actually signed into law a law called Brandon's Law. And this was signed in May of 2009. So according to the Marshall Independent, Brandon's Law requires, quote, law enforcement agencies to take all missing persons reports and begin investing right away, like they do for children under the age of 18, end quote. So like if a child goes missing, technically a child does not have the right to go missing. They have to be, you know, with their parent or guardian or whatever. Mm-hmm. But, you know, so they immediately start looking for them because even if they ran away, it's like a crime.
They
you know,
don't
they're
have the
not
right
allowed
to go
to.
missing. Yeah, they're not old enough.
So basically, with this new law in Minnesota, they have to treat every missing person's case the same,
Which they fucking should in the first place. I don't know.
I agree.
I want to know the statistics of how many people have actually run away when the cops are like, that person ran away, and how many people were actually like missing it or kidnapped or murdered. I want to know that statistic.
I would love that.
I would love to shove that in some faces of some cops that think that they don't have to treat it seriously.
It also makes you question how many people were found in time because of this law since.
Yeah.
You never like think about that. Hey, if this law was never a thing and they had pushed it off and pushed it off and pushed it off, maybe they wouldn't have been found.
How many more other missing people would they say that just they had the right to run away?
Right. So, yeah. And I mean, that's really the end of this. There's no answers. I hate to leave it like that. I wish I had some, but there are none. And
I hate an unsolved case.
This is one of my like top 5. I would do almost anything to know what happened because it makes no sense.
Me too. This is one of my Roman Empire cases because it's like you said, nothing makes sense. No theories.
And I just
I feel like all of the theories are wild enough to where they're like, that is so wild that could even be a possibility that would happen. So it's, I don't know.
And like, I always like to bring it home to like give us all the realization because we're like, this is a wild case and mind bending and mind blowing. It is. And I agree. You know, it's intriguing. It's crazy. But it's like, imagine like if this was your brother at 19. So me and Emily both have older brothers. They're 2 years older than us. So if we had a brother at 19, we would have been 17. Imagine at 17 years old, your brother's just gone, no answers. You have no idea your parents were on the phone with him. Like, you think about that every day.
I think I would still wake up to this day and be like, what even happened? Like, what are you, like, you were on the phone with him. What are you talking about? It didn't even disconnect.
I feel like
it just went
the
silent.
parents are probably thinking that to themselves.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I'm saying.
I don't fucking get it. We were on the phone with him.
Yeah.
How did this happen?
It felt like we were so close to finding him, and then
I just feel like someone knows. Feel like someone knows. So if it would be some wild shit, but if that's you and you're listening to this, you know what to do. Come on. Anyway, I think that's it. We got to end it there. So I think for today,
I want to hear other theories if there is any.
These are all the ones that I could find besides like the alien abduction.
We should post a poll on.
Yes. Okay. I'll do it on Spotify. On Spotify, I can add a poll.
Yeah.
So if you're listening on Spotify, scroll down on your thing and you should see a poll. And I don't know how many options I can put, but I'll put the main ones, as many as I can. I want to know what you guys think. We'll talk about it on Instagram too. I don't know. Maybe some people have some wild out there theories that make sense, and I don't know.
I need the math to math for this one, and I'm afraid that it will never math.
Okay, the math isn't mathing, but I need to know, was the map mapping? Because I feel like I killed it with the direction giving.
I think you did. I was able to follow along, and that's saying a lot.
Oh yeah,
so.
We do speak our own language a little bit, I feel like, so maybe other people were confused, but
it's the directionally challenged
too much.
club.
Like, maybe I went too deep into it and people are like, we fucking get it, dude. But I just wanted
I mean,
to make
I
sure.
didn't feel that way. I thought that you covered it perfectly.
Thank you. Because I just feel like if you don't understand the directions and the map and where everything is, you don't fully grasp how fucking crazy this is and how much it doesn't make sense, you know? So, all right. Well, thank you everybody for listening. If you like the podcast, make sure to give us a 5-star rating wherever you're listening. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, especially at A Trial by Podcast. We're also on Facebook at A Trial by Podcast, TikTok at A Trial by Podcast. And we really appreciate whenever you guys do any of those things because it really, really helps us out. Last thing, and most importantly, if you are new to the pod, make sure you follow/subscribe to us wherever you are listening so you make sure you don't miss any of our episodes. We drop new episodes every Tuesday.
Also, if you're new, give us a little comment on any episode on Spotify or Instagram that you want and say, hey, I'm new.
Yeah.
Or just a little waving flag or waving emoji.
Yes, I love. We get messages. You know, people are like, "I'm listening." You know, we have people from Australia listening, or
Crikey!
You know, crikey. Do the oh no thing. Emily does a good oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no.
I'm not good at it.
Oh no.
But it's so fun for us to like. People, if anyone has DM'd us on anything, you've probably gotten a response from me, unless I somehow missed it. TikTok. Don't DM us on TikTok. There's too much shit on TikTok.
Too much flow and traffic on TikTok.
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
overwhelming.
I get a billion
it's
notifications.
It's like Forever 21. You don't know where to fucking look first.
Yeah, it's hard for me to like see stuff on TikTok and get back. Like if you want us to see something, DM us on Instagram or comment or something. It's way easier for me to see that stuff there.
Yes.
But I always comment and I'm always like, or I respond and I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much. That made my day. It literally does make my day. It makes my day. I want you guys to know I genuinely mean that shit because I know you guys you've heard me say this 100 times. This is my entire life is this podcast. I work. I do this podcast. Last night, I went to work at 8 a.m. I did not take a lunch break. I left work at 5 p.m. I went straight to a work dinner for my day job. I had dinner with my coworkers. I went home and I worked on the podcast until 11 p.m. Okay, 8 a.m. till 11 p.m. This is my whole life. I really love it. So when you guys take the time out of your day to send a nice little message, it makes me feel good.
If that isn't the fruit of your loom, I don't know what is.
Dude, my loom has never been so fruited. I swear to God, I love it. I love chatting with people. And I love getting those messages, and it like really I'm like, fuck yeah, we're fucking doing it, dude.
Dude, I feel like that would be a great Fruit of the Loom ad. If Fruit of the Loom wants to sponsor us, we can now accept ads.
Yes, we get sponsors now, guys. I know you might be like, that's so annoying. We don't like ads, but
for us, it's exciting.
Yes, and you can skip through the ads. If you listen to the ads or like let them play, it does help us out. But we, no pressure. I skip through ads sometimes. No pressure.
Me too.
I get it. But it is very exciting for us because it means we're like doing the damn thing.
It means we're up there.
Yeah, dude.
With the rest of the podcasters instead of just down at the very bottom.
And nothing wrong with not having ads, but it's cool for us.
It's exciting.
Yeah. And
it's like a milestone. Guys, I feel like you should get a plaque. Like, you know how on YouTube you get like a plaque when you get to like, I don't think TikTok
I know what I want.
Does
I know what I want. So here's the thing, guys. Months and months and months ago, before we even started recording the podcast, like when I first bought the podcasting equipment, I was like, dude, I know what I'm going to sponsor. Wait, I'm going to play it after this. I'm going to cut this shit in. I'm going to cut it in.
And here is your newest Tushy ad.
Hello, listeners. Kelsey here. I just wanted to talk to you about one of my favorite products ever invented that absolutely changed my life. Because I know you're all wondering while you listen to our podcast, how does Kelsey keep her ass clean? So let me tell you, I use Tushy Bidet. Now, I know you're also probably wondering, this podcast has very few listeners, how are they even getting, money for ads? And we're not. I just fucking love my Tushy Bidet.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. From the co-director of Shrek and the visionary behind Toy Story comes Spellbound, a magical new animated adventure starring Rachel Zegler, John Lithgow, Jennifer Lewis, Nathan Lane, and Titus Burgess with Javier Bardem and Nicole Kidman. When a powerful spell turns her parents into monsters, Princess Elian must journey into the wild to reverse the curse before it's too late. Watch Spellbound only on Netflix November 22nd.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Upgrade your business with Shopify, home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning fewer carts going abandoned and more sales going cha-ching. So if you're into growing your business, get a commerce platform that's ready to sell wherever your customers are. Visit shopify.com to upgrade your selling today.
It changed my fucking life. My butt has never been so clean. You can find Tushy on hellotushy.com. And now, thirdly, you're probably wondering, what's the purpose of this ad? Well, it's twofold. A, to seem like a legitimate podcast when we aren't yet. B, when we do become a legitimate podcast and Tushy's going to pay us to do ads, I'm going to play this one first to show you. I advertised it when I wasn't getting any money for it because I love Tushy that much. So keep your butts clean, just like the Trial by Podcast ladies do at hellotushy.com. Okay, so wait. I have to say, we are, as of recording this, we are not sponsored by Tushy. Yes, that was that was the first fucking thing I applied to. I recorded this ad. I bet I can find in the recording file, I bet I can see what date I saved this to my computer. This has to be fucking at least 6 months ago, okay?
I feel like you told me this before we even started the podcast. You're like, I'm going to start a podcast and get sponsored by Tushy.
The clip was recorded on February 24th, 2024.
I was like, dude, I would be the best Tushy. Because, by the way, guys, I have a Tushy bidet. Tushy bidet. My cousin, Katie Borns, first and last name, Catherine Borns. That's with a K.
All caps. Yell that.
My cousin Katie, she's like, dude, you got to get a bidet. It's going to change your life. I've seen bidets in Europe, and I was like, you're right. I have to get one. So I get one. Dude, my whole family, everyone's bought bidets now. Everyone owns a Tushy bidet. My dad's best friend came over. My dad's friend came over, used the bathroom. He's like, what is this thing on the toilet? Tushy bidet, bitch. Buy
Welcome
one.
to your Tushy experience.
Dude, I'm telling you. So I recorded this ad like kind of as a joke to send to people, and it was really funny. But I'm like, so that was, of course, the first sponsorship I applied for. We haven't gotten it yet.
Tushy, they said pending.
Yeah.
They have first they rejected us, and then they saw we hit 10,000 listeners, and they said, oh, actually.
And I didn't even apply again. I just got another email like, what, your application is pending. So
you know what? And that's your $1 million check.
So that's what
Jim Carrey wrote himself $1 million check before. If you didn't know, now you know.
Oh, I should do that. I would. No,
this is your $1 million check.
I love a Tushy bidet. I love a Tushy bidet, but I would love $1 million more. Just a little bit.
That was the whole thing. He wrote himself $1 million check because he was like, once I hit $1 million, he never cashed it. He buried it with his dad.
Oh,
I know. It was very nice.
That's sweet and sad.
But also, but you manifested that shit was my point.
I want a golden Tushy bidet with a golden toilet seat.
Oh, I love a bedazzled Tushy bidet. I feel like you get a little exfoliation when you're.
But I don't know if I don't know if I cut. I might just cut in the ad now that I recorded or cut it in before. But my point is, guys, is like, I'm not going to tell you about shit that sucks. Okay. I'm not going to tell you about stuff that sucks. I got a request to do an ad for a TikTok series called My Robot Boyfriend. They were going to pay me money to make video. I said no. I said no.
I said hell
My
no.
listeners like human boyfriends, not robot boyfriends. So I said no. But all I'm saying is that day that you hear that fucking Tushy bidet ad on this pod and you're like,
you better
Kelsey,
give us a clap.
And I honestly, like, the fact that they're not paying me to say this, they're
lost.
They own
right now.
They own when they accept that sponsorship.
The amount of customers we're about to get them. So for future Tushy, you're welcome.
Anyway, let me tell you about Audible. I like to listen to Audible while I'm sitting on the toilet before I use my Tushy bidet.
Audible and Tushy, where you at?
Dude, Audible's here, dude. Audible
has joined the chat.
Audible is they're the GOAT. They know what's up. They know where the good pods are. And I genuinely, I'm like excited to have an Audible account. Like I've wanted to have one, but I put it off. Me too,
honestly. I need to get into more audiobooks.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm excited to listen to audiobooks while I drive.
You know what my favorite audiobooks are?
What?
Harry Potter. Because something
your favorite
about
title. Wait. They actually say this. They want you to call it titles. Like my favorite titles on Audible
my favorite title on Audible is Harry Potter, and those are my favorite audiobooks ever because the voice just tickles your brain in a certain way, and it just feels Harry Potter. So,
is it a British accent?
I think so. Yeah, it's like the same reader for all 7 books. So,
ooh, maybe I'll listen to Harry Potter.
Oh my God,
Audible
please do,
in my
and let
car.
me know how the voice sounds because.
But you guys can get 30 days free of Audible when you sign up at our link at audibletrial.com/a-trial-by-podcast.
You can get 720 hours of reading time.
30 days times 24 hours a day. Is that the math? Dude,
I just did calculator,
and you know what?
Yes.
The math be mathin', folks.
That math be mathin'.
That
I
math
double
be
checked.
mathin' because we did it with a calculator. Okay.
Yeah, that's the only way I be mathin'.
All right, now that we did 10 minutes of the thing that people hate the most in the world of just like ads, and we're not even getting paid for 8 of those minutes of ads that are not technically it's not an ad because Tushy's not paying us.
That's a trial for you. By podcast. Who is that, Goofy, or is that Donald Duck?
I don't know. It was you. Okay. All right. Well, we love you guys. Thanks so much for making my dreams come true, and maybe one day getting us a Tushy ad that we don't have yet, but we are going to get soon. Pending is all I needed to bring joy into my life. Okay. Bye.
Bye.